All right, guys, so we're gonna take a look at some of the buttons that we can find on the side of the C100. Let's start from step number one. So up here we have our dial, our power on and off dial. To record video, you turn the dial up. Now if you want to review some of your footage, you're going to have to click past the off button, the camera's going to reset, and you turn on the review, the media function. You're going to hear a fan kick on, and then it's going to show you all the movies you have. To navigate through that screen, remember we have the pivot switch on the grip, but in addition to that you have your play and pause button, your fast forward, your next scene and stop button, all right here on under the articulating screen. Once you're inside the media menu, you're going to be able to navigate using the pivot switch on the grip. And you're also going to have a set of play and fast forward buttons right under the articulating screen. You're also going to have a slot selection, whether you want to record to memory card A or memory card B. Let's start with button number 9. It's the peaking button. The peaking button is very useful for when you think you might have an overexposure or where you are losing some of your information. Then we have maybe if you prefer looking at it with zebra stripes, button number 10, which is just below, does the same thing. It'll display on the articulating screen right here. It'll show you where you may be overexposed. All right, so let's take a look at the ND filter dial here at the bottom. Generally, you want to use this for outdoor shooting when there is an extreme amount of light coming in. For a low light situation such as this one, you're not going to want to touch this dial too much. So some of the practical reasons why you would want an ND filter is so you can keep your aperture low so you can have a greater depth of field in your picture. Now, let's go over here, one of the most important buttons on the camera, and that is the white balance. Remember, always white balance when you turn on the camera. When you have the top handle on the C100 and you have the grip, you actually have 3 record buttons. You have one on the top, you have one on the front of the grip, and then you also have one that's sneaking in there underneath the lens, right on the right side of the camera. Normally you're not going to have to worry too much about using the one down here. It's just going to feel more comfortable to use the start and stop button that's on the grip. Okay, so let's take a look at how to change some of these lenses. The first step when you're changing the lens is to put the lens cap on. That is one of the most important steps. We want to really take care of these L lenses. They're very nice, very expensive, so always make sure you have the lens on. So to change this camera, there's a button on the left side of the lens. You're going to want to press that, and it's a screw mechanism. So you're going to want to move the red dot, and it's going to go all the way to the top. Once it's off, you're just going to pull that quickly off. You want to trade caps, and you're going to see a red dot at the top of the frame, and you're going to see a red dot on the lens. So you want to match those two up, and it should go in very smooth, and then you want to twist it until you hear a click. There, we're ready to shoot. So I want to take a little bit of time to talk about the C100 sensor. Now what we have inside this camera is a super 35mm sensor, which is a nice hybrid between the sensors that you would find in a 60D to ones you would find on a higher end camera, a full frame sensor. What that means to you is that when you have a lens on a full frame sensor, what you see on the lens, so for example we have a 35mm lens right here, what you see is going to be what you get in the picture. Now if we put the same lens on a 60D, which is a crop sensor, what you're going to get is an upscale. So a 35mm camera would be roughly around a 50mm lens. What that means is you're going to lose a lot of what would be in your frame. So there's a little bit of an upscale happening. So like I mentioned, the C100 has a nice little hybrid. So the change is not going to be as extreme. A 35mm lens won't be quite a 50 millimeter picture, it'll be roughly around 40 millimeters. So all of these are estimates, but it's important for you to understand that concept.